Hey, it's Meg. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing just a relaxing junk journal with me. I didn't really have anything in mind when I started doing this page, so you can see here I'm just ripping some pages out of a recent book that I got from a charity shop, which if you're wondering where to get really nice old book pages and things like that, check out charity shops or thrift shops, whatever they're called where you are, and make a beeline for the gardening section, because that's where you'll find really nice plant books. Sometimes they have photos, and if you look carefully enough, some will have illustrations. That's personally my favourite thing to work with. So that's normally how I start with a journal session, especially if I don't know what I'm going to do. I will just sort of grab a book or some ephemera that I want to use, and I will just sort of play around with it and see how it fits on the page, what I want to do. And I'll admit, when I was doing this page, I really wasn't feeling how it was going, and I was almost feeling like, oh goodness, this is the page that I have decided to film. But I ended up working through it, and I'm actually quite pleased with how this came out. So I wanted to do an introduction page almost for this journal. This doesn't really have like a theme or a topic or anything like that I'm exploring. Maybe it can be florals because it's absolutely full of botanical images, but I'm essentially just using this journal to play around with different techniques and just have fun, really, and see what I can create that looks somewhat pretty. That's really the only thing I'm doing. And so I had been neglecting the first couple of pages because normally when you get a journal, whether you've made it or you've bought it, starting on the first page can sometimes be a little bit daunting. So if you find yourself almost putting off starting because you don't necessarily want to commit to that first page, I would recommend just picking another random page in your journal, which is what I did for this one, and then you can come back to it. So I've found that as I've almost found my feet in this journal and got a lot more comfortable and thinking about how I want this to look, because I'm using similar like color palettes and materials, which kind of makes everything look a bit more cohesive. Once I've found my groove with that, then I have come back to these front pages, because they then got to the point where it was bothering me that I had these blank pages at the start. So I really wanted to come in and do something with them. So the eagle-eyed amongst you might notice that I am picking out lots and lots of different scraps, and they aren't all making it into the page composition. They're not all making it to the final stage of being glued down onto a page, and that's intentional. What I'm doing when I'm picking things out is I'm looking at colours, at textures, what might work together. Sometimes when you see something in the box, you think, all right, that'll look nice on my page. And then once you put it in the context of your journal, it just doesn't work. So you'll see a lot in my junk journal with me is that something like this, now that I'm cutting out, this is really cool and I would like to use it, but I just couldn't find a way in this particular page. So it will find a home in another one of my journals or on another journal page, but it just didn't fit with this journal. And I thought it was really cute because it had plant like bottles or like vases that had been left empty, and they are just ideal for doing journaling in, I think. So it would be nice to do some writing inside or decorate them. So yeah, I really wanted to use that, but I just didn't think it fit with this page, and that's okay. So I'm coming in now and to put another one of these envelope windows with a tag, and you'll see throughout this video I can't decide whether I want this tag in the page or not, and then I eventually decide on sticking something over the top and not having a tag in that place. But I really tried to make the tag work, and ultimately I just decided that I didn't want it on this page. But you'll see a lot of back and forth with trying to see whether this would work or not. Then I came in with my white Uniball Signo and did some detailing, because I was feeling that everything was quite flat and the ephemera that I had at the moment was quite large, even though this is an A6 journal, so not like huge, but do you know what I mean? There was quite a lot of blocks of colour, so coming in with that white pen and adding little details around the place really contrasted that. So adding in little details like that is a great way to add dimension to your page. And I'm still trying to save this tag. This is hilarious, sped up. It looks like I'm drawing it really fast. I really wish things dried like that as fast when I was actually journaling, because the amount of time sometimes, especially if I'm using paint, that I've got to wait for things to dry, I get so impatient. I don't know about you. So I feel like that's maybe another reason why I love collage and papers and stuff, because once you glue it down, you don't need to wait for it to dry. You can just obviously work straight on top. So I'm constantly rummaging around in my scrap papers to see what I can add, and I think I'm on the hunt for some stickers here that I end up not even using on the page, I don't think. I was trialing it in lots of different areas. Again, with the tag, I was really trying to make that tag work. I feel so sorry for myself looking back at how much I was trying to make that tag work, and it just didn't. But there you go. This is like the real process, if you will. Sometimes it's very easy to see someone's journal page, like a picture on Instagram or something, and think, wow, that, like, it looks so effortless, and you don't realize that everything that goes into it. And yeah, you can see there I was almost committing to sticking it down, and then I thought, no, it doesn't fit on the page. I'm loving this journal style for how easily I can flip between pages and also see how things work together. And I'm also looking forward to when this front side is complete and I can flip the journal round and work on the reverse side. I've tried to be quite good in the sense of just working on one side first, and then I'm going to work on the other side. So maybe I might experiment with a different style on the other side of the journal, on the reverse side, but I'm sticking to just one side now, because I feel like it's just going to be really satisfying once I fill up the journal and have one long journal page. And again, I'm adding more detail with my white pen, so I'm just going over sections to kind of make it look a bit more scribbly and effortless, because it looked a bit too precise, especially for the style. So as you can see throughout this process, there was a lot of experimentation and trying things out with this page, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So if you're maybe feeling like you don't know what to journal or you don't have the motivation, then I would recommend just start, whether it's gluing one thing down on your page or just gathering some supplies together, or just having a rummage around, seeing what you've got that you could use later on in a spread, or gather some things and think, right, I would like to use this cutout with this stencil with this washi tape, and put yourself together like a little kit that you can use then, or you can use when you come back to your journal. And you'll often find that once you start interacting with your supplies and kind of looking at different things, something might spark for inspiration for a page, or it'll be like a snowball. Once you start, then you'll kind of continue, and before you know it, you're absolutely surrounded by papers and there's a mess everywhere. I'm sure it's not just me that is always surrounded by just bits of paper and scraps and just absolute chaos on my craft desk every time that I go to do a journal page. But that's all the fun of it, is getting lost in the process and just having fun being creative. So the last thing I'm doing is making space for a quote to go on this page. I felt like it was missing something, and then I finally realized that I would really like some words on this page and a quote. So I'm blocking out some space with this cream paper because the background is quite busy and I wanted to allow for space for it to stand out. So I added the cream paper as kind of a block, and then I went back over it with my white pen just so that I didn't lose the leaves that I had drawn earlier. And I also added a little bit of detail with a brown fine liner. So I'm just cutting out here a quote that is actually from one of my old printables back in the day when I used to create printables. I don't anymore, but sometimes I do think about it. Maybe I should start doing them again, but for now it's not something I do, but I do still have copies of them floating around my stash. So I hope you've enjoyed today's junk journal with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!